Alex Hunter stood alone on the outpost ridge, his breath steady under the violet sky. He watched the tall grass sway in the wind and felt the hum of the scanners at his feet. The world around him was silent except for distant howls of creatures that roamed the plains below. Alex adjusted his rifle strap and kept his gaze on the horizon, ready for any sign of trouble. The day had been long but routine. Alex had taken his post at dawn and watched the skies change from soft lavender to deep purple as dusk approached. He thought of his family back on Earth, of the small town where he grew up, and of the simple life he had left behind. Each memory gave him strength. Each thought reminded him why he had joined the military, to protect and to serve. Suddenly, alarms sounded through the outpost. A red light blinked on the console next to Alex. He moved quickly, his training guiding him. The screen showed an unidentified vessel entering the atmosphere. The shape was odd and jagged, unlike any ship Alex had ever seen. He called in the sighting and waited for orders. Before he could speak again, a beam of light swept across the ridge. Alex raised his rifle and scanned for the source. The light came from above and hit the ground with a soft thud. Dust rose in a cloud, and Alex felt the ground tremble. He called for backup even as his heart pounded in his chest. Within seconds, he saw the wreckage. A small craft lay half buried in the dirt, its hull cracked and smoking. The violet light flickered across twisted metal. Alex felt a rush of urgency. He radioed for medical teams but realized none could arrive in time. He knew he had to act. He moved toward the crash, every sense alert. The air smelled of burning fuel and alien metal. As he approached, he saw movement. A figure lay near the wreck, wrapped in glowing tendrils of light. The shape was slender and human-like, but the skin shimmered in pale cyan. Alex took a deep breath and called out, his voice calm but firm. The figure did not respond. Alex knelt beside her and saw the wound on her shoulder. It glowed softly, pulsing with light. The alien woman shivered and coughed. Alex tore a strip of fabric from his uniform and tied it around her arm to slow the bleeding. She looked at him with large eyes that held fear and pain. Behind them, growls echoed from the grass. Alex looked up and saw dark shapes edging closer. Creatures with jagged teeth and glowing eyes. They were drawn to the crash. Without hesitation, Alex pulled the alien woman to her feet and supported her weight. She leaned on him, her trust clear even without words, holding her close. Alex ran toward a small rock formation a short distance away. Bullets of energy fired from the creature's jaws, sizzling in the air. Alex dropped to one knee and fired his rifle, the shot scattering the beasts. He felt anger and fear mix inside him, but he pushed both aside to focus on protecting the alien after the last creature fell. Alex helped the alien woman into a shallow cave hidden behind the rocks. He laid her on the ground and checked her pulse. It was weak but steady. Alex scanned the cave for supplies. A small crate lay tucked in a corner. Inside, he found bandages and water. He cleaned her wound and gave her water to drink. The alien closed her eyes and whispered a soft sound. Alex listened, trying to understand. He tapped his comms unit and spoke in simple words, "Help is coming." She looked up at him with gratitude in her eyes but did not speak. Instead, she placed a trembling hand on her device at her waist and pressed a small button. A soft hum filled the cave. Hala images flickered in the air around them. Alex saw stars and planets, shapes he had never seen. He realized the alien meant no harm. She wanted him to know her home, her people, and why she had come. But before he could study the images, the cave mouth glowed. Military drones scanned the area outside. Alex's heart sank. He knew his superiors would want the alien captured. For study, he could not let that happen. He gently covered the alien woman with his coat and whispered, "Stay quiet." Then he crawled toward the cave entrance and switched off his comms unit. With careful steps, Alex moved to block the cave mouth. The drones hovered, scanning in red light. Alex held his position, weapon ready. He had a choice: follow orders or protect the unknown. His hand tightened on the rifle and he chose to defend. Inside the cave, the alien regained some strength. She placed her hand on Alex's back in thanks, her touch warm and alive with energy. Alex felt a bond form between them. He would not fail her. Not today. As the drones began to retreat, Alex turned back and gathered his courage. He had to find a way to help the alien woman. The night was long and the world outside was dangerous, but Alex Hunter would stand guard. He would shield her from harm. And in doing so, he would face the first test of his new trust with a being from another world. Alex Hunter lay beside the glowing crater as night settled over the outpost. Fireflies of bioluminescent spores drifted through the air, casting soft light on the alien woman he had saved. Her skin glowed pale cyan, and her breathing was shallow. Alex gently wiped sweat from her brow. He had dragged her to the small shelter of an old supply crate and used his coat to cover her from the chill. The night was quiet now, but Alex knew danger still lurked. Patrol drones circled in the distance, their searchlights sweeping the plains. Alex had seen their red beams scanning for signs of life. He stayed low, careful not to move too much. He checked his rifle and then reached for a pack of rations. He opened it and offered a piece of dried fruit to Zoe. She looked at the food as if it were strange, but hunger won over fear. She took it with delicate fingers and placed it in her mouth. Alex smiled softly. Zoe closed her eyes and ate slowly. Alex watched her, feeling a bond grow between them. He remembered how she had reached out to him through pain after the crash. Now she trusted him enough to take food. He poured water from his canteen into a small cup and held it to her lips. She drank, the liquid soothing her dry throat. After she ate, Zoe raised her hand to her device at her waist. It pulsed with light. Alex leaned in as a soft hum filled the air. Holo images shimmered around them. Alex saw a circular room filled with glowing pillars and a high table. Tall figures in robes stood around it, their faces calm and wise. He did not understand the words that filled the air, but he felt the weight of what he saw. Zoe lowered the holoprojector and looked at Alex. Her eyes were sad and hopeful. Alex reached out and held her hand. He felt warmth travel into his own palm. She did not speak, but he sensed her gratitude. He squeezed her hand gently. Alex looked back toward the outpost. He knew he could not stay here long. The military would send more forces. His orders were clear: contain all alien threats. Alex had disobeyed once, but he would not let Zoe become a test subject. He helped her sit up, supporting her back with his arm. She leaned on him, her trust unwavering. Alex whispered, "We have to move." Zoe nodded, her pale hair falling across her face. He offered his shoulder, and she stood. She moved slowly but with grace. Alex adjusted his rifle strap and took a deep breath. He scanned the dark field, looking for a path. They slipped into the tall grass, moving away from the outpost. Alex led the way, his senses sharp. He heard distant footsteps and the low hum of engines. He crouched and motioned for Zoe to follow. She did, her glowing form hidden by the night. As they moved, Alex told her about his home. He spoke of green fields and clear rivers. He used simple words, hoping she would understand from tone. Zoe listened. She reached out gently and touched a blade of grass. Her finger left a soft light trail on it. Alex watched in wonder. They reached a dried riverbed. Alex knelt and examined it. Footprints marked the sand. He traced the steps and realized they led away from the outpost. "Follow me," he whispered. Zoe placed a hand on his back and they continued. Suddenly, a patrol team emerged. 2 soldiers shone lights on their path. Alex pressed Zoe against the riverbank wall. He stood in front of her, rifle raised. The soldiers called out, demanding identification. Alex took a deep breath and spoke softly. "This way." He turned and ran toward a narrow gap in the rocks. Zoe followed, her steps quick. The soldiers opened fire, bright beams cutting through the dark. Alex returned fire, careful to keep the blasts low. Sparks flew around him. Zoe's bioluminescence lit the cave mouth, revealing her shape to the soldiers. Alex cursed under his breath. He fired a warning shot that struck the ground between the soldiers. "Stay back!" he yelled. The soldiers hesitated. In that moment, Zoe activated her device. A wave of energy pulsed through the cave entrance. The soldiers dropped their weapons as the light washed over them. Their eyes blinked and they collapsed to their knees. Alex did not know what power she used, but he saw no harm come to the soldiers. They were simply stunned. Alex grabbed Zoe's hand. Now they dashed into the gap. Behind them, the soldiers shouted but could not move. Alex guided Zoe through winding passages between rocks. He did not know where they led, but trusted his gut. After minutes that felt like hours, they emerged in a sheltered valley. Moonlight fell on smooth stones and small pools. Zoe looked around, her eyes bright. She pressed her device and pointed to the sky. Alex looked up and saw a faint outline of stars obscured by violet clouds. He realized they were far from the outpost sensors. Zoe knelt beside a pool and touched the water. Alien glyphs echoed in the air. Alex watched, fascinated. He stayed near, protective. Zoe turned to him and smiled softly. He felt warmth spread through his chest. Suddenly, a deep growl echoed in the valley. Alex stood, rifle ready. A huge creature stepped from the shadows. It had 4 legs and horns that curved like scythes. Its eyes glowed red. Alex raised his weapon, heart pounding. Zoe stepped forward. Her device glowed bright. She held up her hand. The creature paused. Alex saw fear in its eyes. Zoe lowered her hand and spoke in her language. The creature's growl softened to a low rumble. It bowed its head and turned back into the darkness. Alex exhaled. "Are you all right?" he asked. Zoe nodded. She placed her hand on her heart and then on Alex's chest. He felt a pulse of energy, a silent promise of trust. Night gave way to dawn. The first light painted the valley in pale violet. Alex and Zoe rested near the pool. Alex cleaned and dressed her wound more carefully now that danger had passed. Zoe watched him, eyes shining with gratitude. Alex thought of the path ahead. He did not know where Zoe's home was or how to get there, but he knew he would protect her. This bond they shared was stronger than any order. As the sun rose, Alex stood and offered Zoe his hand. She took it, and together they stepped forward into a new day, bound by trust and hope. Alex Hunter felt the first rays of dawn touch his face as he and Zoe moved through the hidden valley. Their short rest had given them strength, but Alex knew danger hunted them still. He noticed the faint hum of engines through the rocky walls. Patrol drones were returning. He glanced at Zoe. Her pale cyan skin glowed softly, and she looked at him with quiet determination. They moved on a narrow ledge above a misty gorge. Zoe leaned on Alex, her steps slow and careful. Alex wanted to reassure her, but his mind was heavy. He remembered the voice on his comms, cold and commanding. Orders from military command had changed our mission, he had thought. They did not care about her species. They wanted her captured. As they crested the ledge, Alex saw a column of soldiers emerging from a hidden path below. Bright lights shone against his eyes. He raised a hand and whispered to Zoe, "Stay back." She obeyed, leaning against the rock. Alex clenched his jaw. He felt betrayal burn inside him. These soldiers were his brothers and sisters. He had trained with them. Now they came to hunt a friend. One soldier stepped forward, her rifle ready. Alex recognized her voice. It was Maya Cole. She had laughed with him over shared stories on the ship. He never imagined she would follow such orders. He spoke calmly. "Stop." The soldier hesitated. Alex saw conflict in her eyes. Zoe held her breath. Beside him, Captain Ryan Ford called out from behind the soldiers. His voice echoed in the canyon. Alex did not want more bloodshed, but he would not let Zoe return to them. He raised his rifle and aimed at the ground. "Keep your distance," he said. Captain Ford's face was grim. He barked back that Zoe was a threat. Alex shook his head. She never hurt anyone. These drones, these orders, they did not understand. Zoe stepped forward, raising her hands. She made soft sounds, words from her world. Alex could not understand, but he saw the pain in her eyes. He put a hand on her shoulder. "Don't," he whispered, but she continued. Light pulsed from her palms. Soldiers raised their weapons. Alex felt helpless. Then a shout rang out. Behind Alex and Zoe, dark shapes moved in the mist. Alien beasts from the valley had heard the commotion. They charged down the slope. Alex grabbed Zoe and pulled her back. The beasts roared and leaped at the soldiers. Panic spread among the troops as they fired into the air. The creatures circled, driving soldiers toward the ledge. Alex saw his chance. He grabbed Zoe's hand. "We have to go now," he urged. They slipped past the soldiers and ran along a hidden path behind the ledge. Behind them, the creatures kept the soldiers at bay. Alex felt a pang of guilt. These beasts were wild, not friends, but he had no time to save them. He sprinted forward. Zoe close beside him. The path curved and led into a rocky alcove. Alex and Zoe pressed against the wall, gasping for breath. Zoe laid a hand on Alex's chest, and he felt a calm wash over him. She meant to help him stay strong. Alex closed his eyes and nodded. He tapped his comms unit to silence it. He would not let them trace his signal. They edged deeper into the alcove. Zoe activated her device. Soft light filled the area. Alex watched holomaps appear in the air. He studied them. A network of caves lay beyond their path. One route led to a cavern marked by a swirling vortex. Alex guessed it was a portal, just like the one in the outline. He turned to Zoe. "This way," he said. Zoe pressed a button on her device, and the map floated toward her. She traced the path with her finger and nodded. Alex guided her deeper, stepping carefully over rocks and roots. His leg ached from an old wound, but he pushed on. He would protect her no matter the cost. Suddenly, a burst of light flashed behind them. Alex whirled around. A drone hovered at the alcove entrance, its searchlight cutting through the darkness. Alex raised his rifle. Zoe reached out her hand. The drone's light flickered. Zoe's palm glowed brighter. The drone spiraled and fell, crashing with a loud clang. Alex raced to the drone and crushed it under his boot. He looked to Zoe. She smiled weakly. Her energy was fading. Alex helped her along the narrow tunnel. They followed the holomap's guidance, passing glowing fungi and strange symbols carved into stone. Each mark seemed to pulse with energy under Zoe's device. Around a bend, they found a wide chamber. Moonlight filtered through cracks above, lighting the space in silver. At the center stood the swirling vortex. Alex felt its pull, a gentle tug at his heart. He reached out and touched the edge. The air shimmered. Zoe placed a hand on the vortex. It grew brighter. She turned to Alex. Her eyes shone with hope and sorrow. He nodded. He would step through with her. Just then, voices echoed in the tunnel. Footsteps approached. Alex stood protectively in front of Zoe. The soldiers had followed them. He raised his rifle, ready to face them. Zoe pressed a hand to her device. A humming wave spread through the chamber. The vortex pulsed, a barrier of light forming around it. The soldiers froze at the chamber edge. Captain Ford's face appeared in the wavering light. His eyes studied the scene. Alex took a deep breath. "Stand down," he said quietly. "Zoe deserves her freedom." He pressed gently on her back, urging her forward. She stepped into the light barrier. The vortex expanded, swallowing Zoe's figure. Alex ran forward and reached out. Zoe grasped his hand. Her grip was warm. Alex felt energy surge through his arm. His thoughts cleared. He saw visions of her world, of cities built on crystal spires. He saw the council chambers and saw the faces of her people. Zoe squeezed his hand and pulled him in. Alex felt weightlessness. Color and sound blended around him. Then they emerged on a new world. The air was filled with soft winds. Skies of green and gold stretched above them. Zoe released his hand and looked at her home. Alex followed her gaze. Behind them, the vortex shimmered once more and then closed. Alex felt a sharp pain in his side. He looked down. A wound from the firefight was bleeding. Zoe saw and rushed to his aid. Her device glowed and the wound sealed. Alex winced but smiled. She saved him again. They rose together and took their first steps on her planet. Alex felt his rifle heavy on his back. He looked at Zoe and nodded. "Ready?" She smiled and held out her hand. He took it. Together they walked toward the unknown, bound by trust and fate. Alex Hunter blinked against the glow of the cavern's crystals. His side throbbed where he was hit, and he pressed a hand to the wound. Blood seeped between his fingers. Zoe knelt beside him, her device pulsing with pale cyan light. She placed the device over his wound. Alex gritted his teeth as warmth spread through him. A soft hum filled the cavern. Alex watched as the light grew brighter, revealing ancient glyphs etched into stone walls. Shapes of alien towers and ships formed in the air. Zoe adjusted a dial on her device, and the images sharpened. Alex saw a world of floating islands, crystal forests, and tall figures seated at a circular table. Zoe's eyes reflected sorrow. She pressed another button. Alex saw images of her people, pale cyan skin, elegant features, dressed in robes of silver and blue. He recognized the council chamber. Rows of seats curved around a central dais. Atop it stood a figure crowned with light. Zoe placed her hand on Alex's shoulder. She did not speak, but Alex sensed her message. Her people faced extinction. He looked at her, his heart heavy. He had acted to save one life, but that life held the secret to an entire civilization's survival. Alex swallowed. Guilt twisted in his chest. His orders had been to protect Earth's interests. Now he realized his duty lay elsewhere. He touched the device's projection, and the glowing images shifted to show a terrible weapon-virus poised to wipe out Zoe's world. He felt anger and fear. Zoe pressed her hand to her device. A small crystal emerged, floating above her palm. It shimmered with light. Alex recognized it, a core for their healing technology. Without it, Zoe's people would perish. Alex reached out. He took the crystal gently. The moment he held it, a rush of energy flooded through him. The wound on his side closed, leaving only a faint scar. Alex felt strength return to his limbs. He looked at Zoe in awe. She smiled softly, tears in her eyes. Behind them, sounds of movement echoed. Alex rose, crystal in hand. Soldiers had found the cavern. He lifted his rifle, ready to defend. Zoe stood beside him, device glowing. As the first beam of light cut through the entrance, Alex fired a warning shot. The echo rang in the cavern. Captain Ford's voice called out, demanding surrender. Alex shouted back, "She is not a threat." Zoe stepped forward. She raised her hands. Light radiated from her device, surrounding Alex and Zoe with a soft shield. The soldiers hesitated. Alex saw fear and confusion in their eyes. Captain Ford moved forward, his rifle raised. "Alex," he called, "stand down." Alex lowered his rifle slightly. He held up the crystal. "Look at this," he said. "Zoe's people are dying. This crystal can save them." Ford's eyes widened. He glanced at the device's glow. The soldiers behind him lowered their weapons. Zoe deactivated her shield. Alex stepped toward her and handed the crystal back. She caught it and pressed it to her chest. Light spread through her form. In that moment, the cavern brightened. The glyphs on the walls glowed and images flowed across the stones. Alex watched as scenes of healing and rebirth played out. Forests returned to life. Crystal towers rebuilt themselves. Zoe turned to Alex. She placed a hand on his chest. He felt her energy mix with his heartbeat. Gratitude and respect shone in her eyes. Alex bowed his head. Captain Ford raised his rifle again. "Orders." Alex stood tall. "Mine have changed," he said simply. He stepped forward and guided Zoe toward the portal chamber described in the map. The soldiers watched silently. Zoe activated her device. A swirling vortex of light opened near the cavern's end. The colors danced, pale cyan, silver, and violet. Alex felt its pull. He looked back at Ford and the soldiers. They nodded. Zoe offered her hand. Alex took it. He felt her warmth course through him. Together they stepped into the vortex. Light enveloped them. Alex squeezed Zoe's hand. Memories of the cavern and its revelation filled his mind. Then they emerged on a rocky ledge overlooking a vast landscape beneath twin suns. Towers of light glinted in the distance. Zoe helped Alex steady himself. She pressed a button on her device. A soft field surrounded them, cloaking their presence. Alex realized they had few moments before they were spotted. He looked at Zoe's homeworld. Lush valleys stretched below. Rivers of light wound through forests of crystal. Creatures soared in the sky. Alex felt awe. Zoe touched Alex's cheek. She spoke a word in her language. Alex did not understand but felt hope. She led him down the path toward the nearest city. As they walked, Alex thought of his mission. He would report what he had learned. He would fight for Zoe's people. He would ensure that this reward, a chance to save a civilization, would not be wasted. Zoe turned to him. Her device pulsed. She spoke again, her voice soft. Alex smiled. Together they walked into the dawn of her world, ready to face whatever came next. Alex Hunter felt the portal swirl pull at his senses. One moment he stood in the glowing cavern, and the next he tumbled onto soft grass under two suns. He lay on his side, breath catching as he took in the alien sky. The air smelled of salt and flowers. He rolled and helped Zoe steady herself. Her pale cyan skin glowed faintly, and she touched her device with a quiet hum. The world around them was alive. Tall grasses whispered in a gentle breeze. Distant shapes moved across the horizon, soaring creatures with wings shaped like sailcloth. Zoe looked around, awe in her eyes. Alex stood and brushed dirt from his uniform. The wound on his side had healed, leaving only a faint scar. He flexed to make sure he could move freely. "We should keep moving," he said softly. Zoe nodded. She reached out and placed her hand on his arm. Together they stepped forward into a valley lined with jagged rocks. Behind them, the portal closed with a soft sigh. Alex glanced back. The entrance vanished as though it had never existed. He took Zoe's hand and guided her through the rocks. They walked along a narrow path beside a silver river that wound through the valley. The journey was quiet but tense. Alex stayed alert to every sound. Zoe used her device to project holomarkers in the air, guiding them toward a distant tower. Alex watched the map float above the water. The tower marked the council seat. He pulled Zoe behind a stone when a low hum reached his ears. "They found us," Alex said. Zoe's eyes widened. Alex pulled her further into the rock shadows. He readied his rifle but saw that his clip was empty. He cursed under his breath. He would have to rely on Zoe's power. Bright beams of light cut through the valley. Soldiers in powered armor marched in formation behind hovering drones. Their weapons glowed with energy. Alex recognized the uniforms, Earth's military. He swallowed. There must have been a tracker on his suit or Zoe's device. "Stay down," he whispered. Zoe crouched low, her breathing steady. Alex studied the soldiers. They advanced carefully, scanning every rock. Alex counted 6 soldiers and 2 drones. He estimated they could fight them off if necessary, but Zoe was fragile. He could not risk her safety. Alex tapped his comms to silent mode. He would not give them any chance to call for reinforcements. He watched the lead soldier raise a hand. The group stopped. The soldier spoke into a mic, "Target area clear." Then moved forward again. Alex waited until they passed their hiding spot. Then he tapped Zoe's shoulder. She understood. They slipped along the rock wall, moving out of sight. Alex led the way carefully, making sure they stayed hidden in shadows. After a few minutes, they reached a narrow archway. Beyond it lay a high meadow filled with blue flowers that quivered in the breeze. Alex exhaled. He hoped the open space would give them room to use Zoe's powers. "This is the place," Zoe said. She pointed to the flowers. "Honor blooms for protection here," Alex nodded. He did not understand all her words, but he trusted her instincts. Zoe knelt and touched a cluster of flowers. Her device glowed and pulsed. Energy spread through the ground, lighting veins in the rock. Alex watched, puzzled. Zoe stood and extended her hands. A protective field formed around them, a dome of pale cyan light. The grass bowed under it. "They will not enter," Zoe said. For now, Alex felt relief. He lowered his rifle. "Thank you," he said. Zoe smiled and touched the crystal mark on Alex's arm. A rush of warmth filled him. In the valley below, the soldiers advanced. They reached the meadow's edge and saw the glowing dome. Alex and Zoe watched from within. The lead soldier raised his weapon. "Open it," he ordered. Alex tensed, ready to defend. Zoe lifted her hands. The dome flickered and shrank but held against the soldier's beams. Energy crackled. Alex realized the field needed time to complete. He stepped forward inside the dome and raised his voice. "You can stop," he called through the force field. "She is not a weapon. She saved my life." The soldiers hesitated. The dome's light pulsed with Zoe's heartbeat. Suddenly, from a hidden ridge, shapes emerged. Figures in silver robes, pale cyan skin showing under their cloaks. They carried staffs topped with crystals. Alex recognized them from the holo-images. The Council's guardians. Zoe raised her device. The dome brightened. The soldiers lowered their weapons. The guardians approached the meadow's edge. One guardian stepped forward, staff in hand. He spoke in a soft voice that Alex felt in his mind. "Release her, human." Alex met the guardian's gaze. He held the crystal mark on his arm. "I release her," he said. He turned to Zoe. "Come with me to the council." Zoe stepped forward, her dome dissolving as she lowered her hands. The guardians formed a circle around Zoe. Their staffs glowed. Alex watched as their power extended. To envelop the meadow, the dome lifted away. The soldiers stood back, awed. Captain Ford's voice crackled through Alex's mind. "Alex Hunter, you are ordered to stand down." Alex nodded. He lowered his head. He would not fight these beings. He would trust in Zoe's people. A guardian opened a pathway through the flowers. The others parted. Zoe walked toward them with grace. Alex followed. Behind him, the soldiers raised their weapons one last time, but did not fire. As Alex crossed the flower field, he felt the petals brush against his boots. The world was quiet, filled with light and promise. He saw Zoe step onto a stone dais at the center. The guardians closed in around her, forming a protective ring. Alex knelt before Zoe and the guardians. He offered his rifle, placing it across his lap. "I came here to protect her," he said. "And now I stand with her people." The guardians nodded. From the sky, a deep hum began. Shapes appeared overhead, ships of crystal and silver, soaring down into the valley. The soldiers and guardians watched as the ships landed. Zoe looked at Alex, her eyes bright. She raised her device. A beam of light shot upward, a signal of honor. As the ships touched ground, the valley filled with pods that opened to reveal aliens in robes. Their faces held hope and curiosity. Alex rose. He felt the crystal mark on his arm pulse. Zoe's people gathered around them. A guardian spoke. "All who saved our sister are welcome in our world." The crowd murmured in agreement. Alex felt tears sting his eyes. He stood tall. Zoe touched his arm. He nodded. Together they walked toward the gathering, hand in hand. As the ships of light settled around them, the chase was over. Their journey had led them to a new family and a new home. Alex Hunter stood at the edge of the crystal court, his heart pounding under twin suns. He looked around at the gathered council members, their robes of silver and blue flowing in the gentle breeze. Each face was calm, eyes filled with gratitude. Zoe stood at his side, her pale cyan skin glowing softly. She held his hand, and he felt strength in her touch. A guardian with a staff crowned in light stepped forward. He spoke in a voice that resonated through Alex's mind. The words were brand new to him, but he felt their meaning clearly. They thanked Alex for his sacrifice, for risking everything to protect an alien sister. Alex listened as the guardians and council praised his courage, each thought echoing in his mind. Alex bowed respectfully. He remembered the long journey, from the violet skies of Kariv to the hidden valley, through betrayal and revelations, across the portal into this shining world. He thought of Zoe's trust, the bond that formed between them. Memories of their shared hardships filled his mind. He felt pride and humility. Zoe squeezed his hand. Alex looked down at her. She smiled, and her device cast soft patterns of light on the ground. He nodded, feeling the weight of what was to come. The council had offered him a choice: return to Earth or stay as a guardian of interspecies peace. As the council's words faded, Alex felt a swirl of emotion. He missed his home, his family, and the life he once knew. But he also saw this world, its beauty and its promise. He looked at Zoe, her eyes bright with hope. He realized he could not turn back now. Alex took a deep breath. He raised his head and spoke clearly. His voice carried across the court. Dear Council, he began in simple words, I choose to stay. I will serve as a guardian of peace between worlds. I will protect life as I have protected Zoe. His words rippled through the crowd. Zoe let out a soft breath of joy. Alex felt a warmth spread through his chest. He had made his choice. The guardian with the staff smiled and raised his hand. Light flowed from the staff and surrounded Alex. He felt a gentle pulse against his skin. The light touched every part of him, and he closed his eyes. Images flashed, alien worlds, human ships, and places unknown. He sensed knowledge and power. Infusing his mind. When he opened his eyes, he felt changed. He stood taller, his senses sharper. He could feel the heartbeat of those around him, the gentle hum of the city's energy, and the distant vibrations of the stars above. The guardians lowered their hands, and the light faded. Alex flexed his fingers. He felt the power within him. He lifted his hand and felt the air around him respond. A ripple of light traced his palm. He gasped, then smiled. Zoe watched him, pride shining in her eyes. A council member stepped forward with a scroll made of crystal parchment. He presented it to Alex. The script glowed faintly as Alex unrolled it. The words spelled out his new duties as a guardian: to mediate conflicts, to protect the weak, and to foster understanding between species. Alex read each phrase, careful and steady. He felt honor and responsibility settle on his shoulders. When he finished, he rolled the scroll and tucked it into his belt. He then knelt before the council and placed his hand on the stone floor. By this vow, he pledged his life to peace, he thought. A wave of approval passed through the court. Zoe knelt beside him and placed her hand over his. He felt her gentle energy strengthen his resolve. As the ceremony ended, the council's guards formed a pathway. They led Alex and Zoe through the crystal halls. Light danced on every surface, reflecting their steps. Citizens lined the path, bowing respectfully. Some reached out to touch Alex's shoulder, offering silent thanks. They passed gardens of glowing flora. Each plant radiated soft light. Alex inhaled their fragrance, feeling calm. Zoe guided him toward a balcony that overlooked the city. Below, the city spread like a sea of light. Crystal towers rose from rivers of energy. People walked the streets. On floating platforms, soft music drifted on the wind. Alex looked at Zoe. She pointed to a tower in the distance, its spire reaching toward the green sky. This is the Hall of Guardians, she said in her mind. It would be his home now. Alex nodded. Zoe led him down a winding staircase carved from crystal. At the base, a chamber awaited. Inside stood empty suits of armor forged from light. Each suit glowed with pale cyan and silver. Zoe gestured toward one. Alex approached. The armor shifted, sizing itself to his form. He felt the power hum through the metal. He stepped forward and the armor sealed around him. He flexed his arms and felt the new strength in his muscles. He turned for Zoe. She smiled and activated her device. A canopy of light formed above them. Together, they stepped out of the hall. The armor's glow followed Alex's movement. He felt a sense of unity with his new role. Zoe reached out and touched his gauntlet. Light pulsed under her fingers. Outside, citizens paused to watch them. Some children pointed and ran after them, giggling. Alex knelt and smiled at one child, who placed a glowing flower in his hand. Alex nodded gratefully. A council member approached. He handed Alex a small crystal emblem. It held the symbol of the Guardians, a circle of light embracing a star. Alex pinned it to his armor. With that, Alex knew he belonged here. He stood and looked at Zoe. Where to now? He asked. I will show you, she replied. She raised her device and pointed down a road paved with starlight. They walked side by side. Alex felt the armor lighten each step. He sensed Zoe's hope for their shared future. The sky above shifted in color, green to gold, as the twin suns climbed. Behind them, the crystal towers shone brighter. Alex felt his purpose clear. He was a guardian, a bridge between Earth and new worlds. And with Zoe at his side, he would face whatever challenges lay ahead. And so, Under the light of twin suns, Alex Hunter embraced his unimaginable reward, a life of service among the stars, and the chance to protect the galaxy he now called home.